Hey guys, it's Julie Spencer, author of the Buxton Peak series. We are starting into chapter 3 of Buxton Peak book 3, The End of the Beginning. And chapter 3 is called Basketballs and Sneakers. Start over again. That's not right. Ian ground his teeth together, trying not to raise his voice. Look, I know all your songs and I know how to play your songs, Nathaniel said. I don't need to take orders from a scrawny little white kid to know how to play my drums. You either want me in your band or you don't. But I am not Gary Owens, and I am going to do things my way. Is that clear, brother? Their jam session in the recording studio was not going as planned. Ian dug his fingernails into his palms and took a deep breath. Scrawny? Kid? How dare he? This is my band. I give the orders. Ian was used to getting his own way. It was true he was going to need to treat Nathaniel differently than he treated Gary, but he still had the upper hand in this bargain. I'll put it right back to you, mate, Ian said. What else you going to do besides jam with us? Can you tour the world from the back of your little church band? I don't think so. Ian started to turn around, but Nathaniel stood up from the stool behind his drum set and towered over him. I'm the youth pastor of the Nashville Church of Christ and the drummer for the Christian band His Ministry. I don't need to tour the world. I don't need to tour the world to feel my worth. Yeah? Well, your worth is going to have a lot greener bottom line if you stick with us, pal. Ian looked right up into his face, not afraid of Nathaniel's challenge. I'm sure your church could use a nice new chapel. How would you like to be able to pull out your checkbook and buy them one? Nathaniel narrowed his eyes. Ian could almost see the wheels turning behind Nathaniel's expression. Living in inner-city Nashville, he didn't have many opportunities to earn that kind of money. We could use a new basketball gym for our youth program. That could be arranged. Ian narrowed his eyes right back. Fine, I'll stay. Nathaniel sat down at the drums. Fine. Ian walked to the front of the group. Kai and Andy looked at each other, failing miserably to conceal their grins. You got a problem, mates? Ian looked back and forth between them. They just turned to the front and pretended to be tuning their guitars. This new dynamic was going to take some getting used to. Ian wasn't sure he could handle it. What am I supposed to do? Ian pleaded with Kai. After 20 more minutes of tension and frustration, Kai had set his guitar in its stand and dragged Ian outside. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Every time I tell him how the song is supposed to be played, he gets angry. I know how the songs are supposed to sound. I wrote the songs myself. Why doesn't he understand that? Maybe because he hears them differently than you do. Kai reached out to Ian and put his hand on Ian's arm. Or maybe he just doesn't like to be told what to do and how to do it. Ian spoke through clenched teeth. But they're my songs. They're our songs, Kai corrected him. They're Buxton Peak's songs, and he's part of Buxton Peak now, so you're going to have to find a way to get along with him. I don't know how. Ian's face scrunched into a frown and he crossed his arms. He knew he was acting immature, but he wasn't willing to relent. Maybe you should spend some time with him and get to know him. What do you think I've been doing? Ian pointed in the direction of the recording studio in exasperation. I spend every day with him, and we're getting nowhere. I meant outside of the recording studio, Kai said. Away from me and Andy and away from the pressures of music. What would you suggest? Ian sneered, crossing his arms again. That I take him out to lunch or something? No, I mean get to know him on his turf. Kai turned Ian back around to look him in the eye. Go volunteer at his youth program or something. Get to know Nathaniel the man, not Nathaniel the drummer. Volunteer? Think about it, Ian. Kai craned his neck down slightly to look Ian directly in the eye. You, Andy, Gary, and I, we've known each other since we were kids. When you look at me a certain way, I know you heard that I was out of tune. When Andy is off time for a split second and you scrunch up your eyebrows, he fixes it. And Gary, well, you and Gary had this weird connection that was almost creepy. It was like you were twins playing a set of drums simultaneously, and either one of you could pick up the sticks and play the exact same rhythm without missing a beat. It was very strange. Ian felt his mouth pull into a small grin and he chuckled. Kai had a point. But Nathaniel? Kai shook his head. The two of you are not on the same wavelength yet, but you could be. You could really be something together. You both have more talent in your pinky fingers than I have in my whole body. You could really jam. If you, Ian, can get yourself straightened out. Ian looked up at Kai and nodded. Can you do that, mate? Yeah, pal, Ian agreed. I think I can do that. Well, get on with it then. Kai pushed Ian gently in the direction where he needed to go, literally and figuratively. I didn't know you had a piano here. I thought we were just coming to play basketball with the kids. Nathaniel sighed. He was going to have a difficult time dragging Ian out of the common room and into the gym. Once Ian pulled out the little wooden piano bench and opened the lid, exposing the keyboard, his eyes lit up and his fingers gracefully danced across the keys. Come on, brother, Nathaniel said. The teens are going to be here soon, and we got to get the gym opened up and the heat turned on so they won't freeze. Whoa, Ian wrinkled his nose. This piano is seriously out of tune. When was the last time you had it tuned? I have no idea, Nathaniel shook his head. That's not in the budget. Don't you play it? Ian dropped his jaw and looked up at him. Can't you hear how bad it is? No, I don't play the piano. I'm a drummer. Nathaniel kept walking toward the gym. Besides, like I said, it's not in the budget. Well, I'll pay for it then. Ian hurried to keep up. You need a working piano in your youth center. That's just all there is to it. Look, Nathaniel turned to Ian with a sneer. Ian almost ran right into him and looked up with a bit of shock at Nathaniel towering above him. You'd be hard-pressed to find a single one of these youth who even know how to play that thing, much less one is interested in whether or not it is tuned. So don't waste your time or your money. If you have that much money to spare, we have lots of other priorities you can throw money at. I have a lot of extra money to spare, Ian assured him with an innocence that made Nathaniel shake his head in disbelief. This punk kid had no idea the kind of pressure this community was under financially. Tuning a piano? Ridiculous. He turned back around and kept walking, but Ian wasn't through. He pointed out the shabby furniture, the walls that needed painting, and the floors that needed new carpeting. We could fix this place up really nice. Put your money where your mouth is, Nathaniel turned to him again, or shut up. Ian looked up at him with those same narrowed eyes and pulled his cell phone out of his pocket. Jeremy, Ian spoke into the receiver without breaking eye contact with Nathaniel, I need you to have someone come over to Nathaniel's youth center and tune this piano for me. Nathaniel just narrowed his eyes right back and shook his head again. Ian had some nerve to come in here and start flashing around money for things that didn't matter. And I'm going to need a line of cash that I can draw from so that I can help make some other changes around here. This place is in serious need of repairs and upgrades. Can you make those arrangements? He listened for a moment, thanked his manager, and hung up the phone. Ian smirked right up at Nathaniel. There, now we have money. Let's go spend it on your youth program. Whoa, what's up with the skinny white dude playing on our court? Watch yourself, Tyrell, Nathaniel said. He's our guest. Is that our way to treat our guest? Sorry, Pastor Nathan, Tyrell mumbled. He let his backpack fall off his shoulder and opened the zipper to remove a very worn, well-loved basketball. What's your problem, man? Scott asked. I'm white. You got a beef with me, too? Nah, man, you're swole. Tyrell shoved his friend's shoulder. I don't care what color your skin is, as long as you dunk over East High center. I can dunk over you. Scott knocked the ball out of Tyrell's hands, dribbled it across the court, took 3 steps for a layup, and shoved the ball through the hoop where he hung from the rim with one hand. Sweet! Tyrell rebounded the ball and shot from the 3-point line, easily sliding the ball through the hoop. Nothing but net. And the crowd goes wild, Ian called from behind the boys. They both turned around and looked Ian up and down. What's the matter? Old-fashioned joke? If that's what you want to call yourself, Scott said. Scott Sanborn, where are your manners? Nathaniel scolded him. Sorry, Pastor Nathan, Scott mumbled under his breath. He knew I was joking. I'm sure he did, Nathaniel said. It's still not polite. Why is he here anyway? Tyrell had retrieved his basketball and was rolling it between his hands. Bro, Scott said, pushing Tyrell's shoulder. That's Ian Taylor. How about if we start speaking to Mr. Taylor instead of speaking about him, since he's right here in the room? Nathaniel suggested. Tyrell palmed the basketball in his left hand and reached over with his right hand to introduce himself. Hello, Mr. Taylor. I'm Tyrell Gibbons. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you as well. Ian shook Tyrell's hand. I'm Ian Taylor, as your mate pointed out. Are you famous or something? Tyrell stepped back and bounced past the ball to Ian, who caught the ball and held it in both hands. Dude, he's from that rock band who's stealing Pastor Nathan from us, Scott said. Why do they keep calling you Pastor Nathan? Ian Stage whispered to Nathaniel. Don't they like your regular name? It's cumbersome, Nathaniel explained. Okay then, Pastor Nathan it is. Ian held the basketball up. Who's up for some hoops? I know I wouldn't be your top choice for a teammate, but we could play some 2-on-2 until some other guys got here. The door slammed open and 2 more teen boys entered, ahead of 3 teen girls. Suddenly, there were enough people for 3-on-3 in a cheering section. Oh my gosh, one of the girls squealed. Ian Taylor is here. Why is it you cause problems everywhere you go? Nathaniel asked Ian. I honestly don't mean to, Ian said. I just don't get it. I'm no different than any other guy. Yeah, right, Nathaniel mumbled. Okay, bring it in. Let's have a little chat. All the teens gathered round and 2 of the girls giggled. Samantha even sidled up next to Ian. Nathaniel narrowed his eyes at her and she took 1 step away. Little Mary, who looked way too young to be a senior in high school, casually stepped around the back of the group and to stand next to Tyrell. They didn't even look at one another or hold hands or anything, but there was something there. When did that start? Okay, Nathaniel said, returning to the task at hand. As most of you have probably heard, the rock band Buxton Peak has asked me to join them as their new drummer. I'm not resigning from my job as your youth pastor. Yet. There were murmurs throughout the group and teens, some excited faces, some forlorn. Tyrell even had his brow furrowed as if this news was shock. He hadn't heard? Nathaniel took a deep breath. It won't be for a while. Nathaniel held up his hands to calm them down. I promise we'll find someone good to replace me and I'll eventually be we'll find someone good to replace me, but I'll eventually be going on tour with the band. Samantha leaned closer to Ian as if she were interested in hearing more about his tour. She even batted her eyelashes and smiled at him. I don't think so, Nathaniel pushed casually in between the teenage girl and Ian, shoving her aside with a warning look, and draped his arm around Ian's shoulders. Since we're staying here in Nashville rehearsing, Mr. Taylor and his wife, Megan, Nathaniel looked pointedly down at Samantha, are going to be helping fix up the youth center. He wants to get some new furniture and new carpet and paint the walls, and he even wants to fix up that old piano. I didn't know he had a piano. Allie, one of the younger girls, wrinkled her nose and cocked her head. It's right next to the television, Samantha reminded her, with the bench that we used to reach the DVDs on the top shelf. Oh, yeah. Do any of you know how to play? Ian sounded more hopeful than doubting. My grandma taught me a few things when I was younger, Mary suggested. Mary shrugged. I think if I kept up with it, I might have been kind of good. That's really cool, Ian nodded. I'm going to get it tuned and maybe we can find some sheet music. I'll bet we could get some lessons for some of you if you want. Would you be doing the one teaching the lessons? Samantha batted her eyelashes at him. She lowered her gaze when she noticed Nathaniel's piercing glare. No, Ian reminded her. Pastor Nathan and I will be heading off on tour in a few months, but we'll make some arrangements and have someone come in and teach you. I think I'd like to learn again, Mary said. That would be fun. And thank you, Mr. Taylor, for helping fix the youth center. We really appreciate it, don't we, guys? She turned to the other teens in the group and they nodded enthusiastically or shuffled their feet or mumbled thanks. Always the leader, Nathaniel nodded to her. Nice job. You're welcome. Ian rolled the ball in his hands, gulped, and changed the subject. I'm starving. Do you have any food around here, or should I order a bunch of pizzas? Pizza! There was general consensus. Where do you normally order pizza from? Ian requested, pulling out his cell phone. They all looked up at him with shocked stares, and some even shook their heads. Let me guess, that's not in the budget. You got it, brother. Nathaniel patted him on the shoulder. We're going to have to get you a bigger budget, Ian suggested. The kids all looked at him with round eyes and apprehension. What other kinds of things do you need? Some new basketballs? Bigger television? Maybe a video game system? I need some new kicks, Scott quietly suggested. Quite a few of them nodded, and they all looked down at their feet. Several of the kids had very worn-out sneakers. Some were even held together with duct tape. For a few minutes, things got awkward as the kids compared holes and general wear and tear of one another's shoes. Well, I think new sneakers should be second on our list then. Ian smiled and clapped his hands. Eyebrows went up. Smiles crept onto faces, and disbelief reigned among the group's countenance. But pizza first. You got a phone book around here? Aw, stupid question. Okay, Google, where's the closest pizza delivery? And that is the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4 is called No Holding Back.